What if your identity isn't what you believe about yourself? Not what you post online, not what you promise, but what you repeatedly do. Well, today we're diving into one of the most piercing psychological truths attributed to Carl Jung. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. This quote cuts through illusion, it dismantles ego, it confronts fantasy, and it forces us to look at the one place most people avoid: our behavior. Before we unpack the quote, let's briefly ground it in context. Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology. He introduced powerful concepts like the shadow, the collective unconscious, archetypes, and individuation. He believed that true psychological growth comes from integrating the unconscious parts of ourselves into conscious awareness. And one of the fastest ways to discover who we truly are is to observe our actions. Not our intentions, not our self-image, but our behavior patterns. The first and most obvious interpretation: your identity is built by what you actually do. You can say, "I'm disciplined," "I'm spiritual," "I'm loyal," or "I'm working on my dreams." But if your actions don't support those claims, psychologically speaking, that identity is a fantasy. In Jungian psychology, the ego creates a self-concept, a story about who we are. But behavior reveals the unconscious truth. For example, if you say you value health but never exercise, you say you value love but constantly betray trust, you say you want success but never take risks, your actions are telling the real story. And Jung would argue that the unconscious always reveals itself through behavior. This quote is a call to walk the talk. Integrity means wholeness. It means your inner values and outer actions are aligned. When there's a gap between what you say and what you do, tension builds. That tension is psychological dissonance. Over time, it erodes self-respect. Jung believed that self-betrayal fragments the psyche. When we repeatedly break promises to ourselves, we weaken our will, we damage trust with ourselves, we strengthen the shadow, because the shadow grows stronger every time we deny the truth of our behavior. You don't become confident by affirming confidence. You become confident by acting courageously. Modern culture rewards talk. Social media rewards announcements, declarations, intentions, and coming soon energy. But reality rewards execution. From a psychological standpoint, announcing your goals can actually give your brain a premature dopamine reward, tricking you into feeling accomplished before you've even done the work. That means saying, "I'm going to write a book," may give you a temporary identity boost, but unless you sit down and write consistently, that identity is fiction. Jung emphasized individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you truly are. and individuation requires action, not fantasy. Instead of asking, "Who do I think I am?" "What do I want to be?" ask, "What do I consistently do? How do I spend my time? How do I react under stress, and what habits define my days?" Your habits are your identity in motion. If someone filmed your life for 30 days, what would they conclude about you? Because that conclusion would likely be closer to the psychological truth than your internal narrative. This is not about shame, it's about clarity. Jung believed that bringing unconscious patterns into awareness is the beginning of transformation. One of Jung's most powerful teachings was the concept of the shadow, the part of ourselves we deny, suppress, or reject. When someone constantly says one thing but does another, it often indicates shadow activity. For example, preaching loyalty but cheating, preaching peace but acting aggressively, or preaching discipline but living chaotically. The louder someone declares a virtue, sometimes the more they are compensating for its absence. True virtue doesn't need constant announcement. It shows itself in quiet consistency. Another important psychological truth: you are not defined by one action, but by repeated patterns. Anyone can have one disciplined day, make one generous gesture, or show courage once. But identity is built through repetition. Neuroscience supports this. Repeated actions strengthen neural pathways. Habits wire the brain. And over time, behavior becomes automatic, and that automation becomes personality. You don't think yourself into a new identity. You behave yourself into one. If we look at this through a spiritual lens, the quote becomes even deeper. Many spiritual traditions teach that faith without works is dead. Intent without embodiment is illusion. Knowledge without action is empty. You can meditate on abundance, but if you never develop skills, network, or take risks, abundance remains conceptual. You can talk about love, but if you never practice patience and compassion, love remains theoretical. Embodiment is the bridge between belief and reality. This quote is confronting because it removes excuses. It doesn't care about trauma, good intentions, potential, or plans. It asks one thing: what are you doing? Not what could you do, not what will you do, not what do you hope to do, but what are you doing today? Because that is who you are becoming. The empowering part of this quote is this: if you are what you do, then you can change who you are. Not through affirmations alone, not through rebranding yourself, not through talking about growth, but through consistent, small, repeated action. Want to be disciplined? Wake up on time daily. Want to be spiritual? Practice daily. Want to be loving? Act lovingly when it's inconvenient. Over time, action rewires identity. So, here's the final question for you. If your actions over the last 90 days define your identity, who are you? Are you aligned with your values? Are you living in the gap between intention and execution? Jung's message is not condemnation, it's clarity. It's a psychological mirror because once you accept that you are what you repeatedly do, you gain power. The power to act differently, and in doing so, become someone new. So, if this resonated with you, reflect deeply this week. Observe your actions without judgment, just awareness. Because awareness is the first step towards integration, and integration is the path to wholeness. So that's it for today's video, and as always, I hope you found it entertaining, enlightening, or in some way beneficial. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with a friend or two. All right, everyone, take care. Peace.